Why do we ride coasters? Is it for the giga status? The fear of not being in control? Or the airtime? Do you prefer floater or ejector? Because I love both. Maybe it's the speed or being upside down. Is it the wood structure popping and shaking under you? Or that insane launch that smashes you into the back of the seat, giving you tunnel vision? Perhaps you're just looking to have a great day with your friends. But if you're anything like me, you're searching for that next coaster that can bring it so hard, all you can do is hold on for your life. This is my top 10 coasters that know how to bring it. Before I kick this list off, there's one thing I want to make clear. I have never felt in any danger from a roller coaster, ever. Roller coasters are incredibly safe machines, and this list is simply 10 coasters that know how to bring it. Something I would travel hundreds, if not thousands of miles to find. Sometimes you just find a ride so incredible, it makes you hold on a little bit tighter. Coming in at number 10 is the amazing Lightning Run from Kentucky Kingdom. This coaster may be on the smaller side, but whatever you do, don't let that fool you like it did me. It's a Hyper GTX coaster built by Chance Rides, and why this coaster has not been cloned and installed at parks around the country, I will never know. This thing is absolutely phenomenal. And tell me those trains don't look sick. The first drop was amazing, but the amount of air I got on the following airtime hill was out of this world. And it didn't just stop there. It's packed with so much airtime, you won't be able to catch your breath until the final brake run. Lightning Run is worth the trip to Kentucky Kingdom by itself, but they also have a lot of other great coasters to complement it. Number 9 is going to surprise a lot of people, but it's still Vengeance. When I was putting this list together, I wanted to put this ride way higher, but the truth is I have ridden 8 coasters that made me hold on tighter than this one. And that doesn't make them better coasters by any means, it just means I held on tighter. And everyone that has watched any of my videos knows that I consider Steel Vengeance one of the best coasters I have ever rode. So here's the thing, Steel Vengeance is such an amazing and wild ride, but it is so smooth and you never really feel out of control. Yeah, the airtime is great and it's flipping you all over the place, but it feels like it should. And it could have also been the amount of excitement and expectation I had leading up to my first ride. Sometimes you hold on tighter when a coaster starts throwing stuff at you that you weren't expecting or it is stronger than you were thinking. But yeah, just look at this clip. People were having fun and relaxed even though this is a beast of a coaster. Number 8 is also a coaster from Cedar Point. It's the incredible Maverick. This coaster really knows how to bring it. In fact, when it was built, it brought it so hard that the opening had to be postponed because the Heartline roll was too powerful and was putting too much stress on the track. So to fix the issue, Cedar Point had to remove that Heartline roll and replace it with an S-curve. And if I'm being completely honest with you, this may have been the best thing to do. Just look at how fast that train approaches the part of the track where the Heartline roll would have been. It would have probably been out of this world. Maverick is built by Intamin and they really know how to bring it when it comes to their coasters. In fact, they bring it so hard this isn't the first time they've had to modify a track for being too intense. But we'll get into the details of that a little later in this video. The first time I rode it was in 2017 and it really took me by surprise. I couldn't believe the amount of air I got on that first drop, and then seconds later you hit another wild pop of airtime. From this point it feels like Intimidator 305, slinging you all over the place. It's a near perfect coaster in my opinion and one of my all-time favorites. Number 7 is Top Thrill Dragster. Well, that didn't take long to find another Intamin on this list. If you know anything about Top Thrill Dragster, then you already know why it's on this list. This one's a given. You board a train that resembles a drag car and even pull up to drag lights that are about to count down for the launch. While waiting, you can't help but to stare at that hill you're about to climb. It's the second tallest coaster on the planet, and you ain't going up slow by a chain either. It's about to launch you from 0 to 120 miles an hour in 3.8 seconds. And you're gonna make a 420 foot tall climb before cresting that top hat and spiraling back down to earth. Oh, and did I mention all you have is a lap bar? So yeah, when it launched me for the first time, I held on like you couldn't imagine. Number 6 is the Beast from Kings Island. It's known around the world for giving legendary night rides and also for being the longest wooden coaster. 2019 marks the 40th anniversary of this great ride, and for the past 20 years it is ranked no lower than the 8th best wooden coaster in the world according to the Golden Ticket Awards. My first ride ever on the Beast was right after the fireworks on a perfect night with a full moon, and that was one special ride. This coaster races through the pitch black forest and through underground tunnels. It's loud, it shakes, and it vibrates. After climbing the second lift hill, we started to descend, and that's when I experienced something new. The drop was at an angle, but not like this, it was like this. Little did I know the Beast was preparing to slam us into an enclosed helix with all its power. Now, because I had never rode this before and I couldn't see a thing, as soon as we hit that helix, I grabbed that handle and held on with everything. It was one of the most special rides I've ever had on a coaster. If you're looking for huge amounts of airtime, inversions, and 90-degree drops, you won't find it here. But if you're looking to fly through the forest with only the moon lighting your way, this is one night ride you're not going to want to miss out on. Number 5 is the Voyage from Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. This coaster is loved by so many people, and it ranks up there as one of the best wooden coasters in the world. And after finally getting a chance to ride it, I can see why. Just like the Beast, it takes you deep into the woods. Only this time it's packed with huge amounts of airtime, and while the Beast has virtually no airtime, the Voyage holds the record for the most airtime on any wooden coaster in the world. It stands 173 feet tall, and let me tell you, this thing straight hauls the entire ride, sending you flying through 5 underground tunnels along your way. I could talk about this coaster all day, but just know this. I held on tight from the second that chain released me until we hit the final brake run. It's one wild ride. Number 4 is Lightning Rod from Dollywood. Where do I even start with this ride? To me, this is one of the greatest roller coasters ever built. Now you may be saying, wait, how can you put Steel Vengeance at number 9 and Lightning Rod at number 4? Well, it's simple. Steel Vengeance may very well be the best coaster on the planet, but it never feels out of control. When I say this ride brings it, I mean it brings it. You hit that launch up a mountain in its own. You're pinned back in your seat so hard and it's amazing. After that first drop, you go into a wave turn that will raise every hair on your arm straight up. I'm telling you, I get chills every time I hit that turn. From there, it's time to hold on. This coaster straight hauls across the mountain, hitting some of the hardest airtime you will ever feel, including the greatest element I've ever experienced on a ride, the quad down. When you finally slam into the brakes, you feel like you never lost a single mile per hour. It is truly a magnificent roller coaster that I would drive 10 hours just to ride. Now I know that not everybody will agree with my ranking here, and some people may even put it higher, but that's the fun of being a coaster enthusiast. We all have different opinions and favorites, and no one is wrong. It's a personal preference. When I put this list together, I had to tell myself over and over, rank them in a way that is honest and true to myself, and not what everyone is expecting to hear. That's what makes this fun. If everyone had the same list, there would be no point in making your own. However, I do acknowledge that I don't know everything, because there are just so many amazing coasters I haven't got the chance to experience yet. Number 3 is Twisted Timbers. Now this one is a little complicated, so let me explain. It was 2017 and I still hadn't rode an RMC yet. I was super excited to see all of the speculation coming out that Hurler would be reborn and also Mean Streak from Cedar Point. So I kept up with the build of both for nearly a year. The perception was that Steel Vengeance was going to be the greatest roller coaster in the world and that King's Dominion was just lucky to get a smaller RMC. I had my hotel booked for Cedar Point, but that park didn't open until May, so I was excited to go ride Twisted Timbers on opening day. The barrel roll drop was fantastic, and then the coaster went into a sweet turnaround and headed for the first airtime hill. And that's the moment I experienced the single greatest moment of airtime on any coaster I had ever rode. And it caught me off guard like you would never know. I squeezed those perfectly placed RMC grips with all my power. After what seemed like 5 solid seconds of airtime, it was over. But there were still 2 more nearly identical hills straight ahead. And needless to say, I squeezed those grips 2 more times just as hard. Fast forward to my Cedar Point trip, and when I got off Steel Vengeance, my son said, "Dad, how was it?" I said, "That might have been the greatest roller coaster I ever rode, and it may have the world's most airtime. But I don't think any moment of air on that coaster was stronger than the air I got on Twisted Timbers." 25 rides later, and I can tell you, when you're in the lead car, the air on those back heels is at its strongest. But the rest of the ride is best sitting in the back seat. You really can't get a bad seat on this coaster. And I really think it's unfortunate that Twisted Timbers came out the same year as Steel Vengeance. It was always considered the little brother, and it'll always be considered the little brother. But any other year, it could have won Best New Ride of the Year, I'm just telling you. Coming in at number 2 is Sky Rush from Hershey Park. It's a hypercoaster built by Intamin, and it is one of the most intense coasters you will ever ride. It's jam-packed into a small plot of land, which forces it to really pack a punch in a quick amount of time. When I went to Hershey, I rushed to Sky Rush first. How couldn't I? It was a huge bucket list coaster for me, but I assumed it would be a huge letdown. Needless to say, I'm strapped in and ready to roll. I look around and see that thumbs up that every coaster enthusiast lives for. That lift hill pulled so hard. This is it. No way can it be that good. Then a third of the way down the first drop, I don't remember what happened, but I just grabbed onto that restraint as hard as I could. It was much stronger than I was expecting. Then it hits the bottom of that first hill so hard the restraint staples me to the seat, and it's a good thing because that first pop of airtime that was coming was so powerful and perfect. It's then throwing you around like Intimidator 305. I hit that final brake run all smiles. Hop off and get straight back in line for a back seat. But let's just say it was a completely different monster in the back. I love every single second of this amazing coaster. No letdown here. And hey, you don't gotta take my word for it that this is an intense coaster that'll force you to hold on tight. Just look at the clips I provided. Yeah, see what I'm saying? Now before I reveal the coaster that made me hold on tighter than any coaster ever, there's something I gotta tell you. After completing nearly 80% of this video, I got one of the greatest rides of my life on a coaster I had never rode before, with 3 friends. You probably guessed it, it was El Toro from Six Flags Great Adventure. And there's no way I can go back and rebuild this video because it would cause a chain reaction that would make me have to rewrite the entire thing. So take it for what it's worth. I'm going to save that for a new video that I'm going to be working on sometime in the future. Coming in at number 1 is none other than Intimidator 305 from King's Dominion. So here's the thing, it was 2016 and I had only rode about 30 coasters in my life, and certainly never a Giga. Just one look at that lift hill made me sweat. But I was so ready for this. It's built by Intamin, the same manufacturer that had to remove the Heartline roll from Maverick because it was too much. The same company that built Sky Rush on that tiny plot of land. The same company that built the 2 largest coasters in the world that rocket to over 120 miles an hour and over 400 foot tall. Yes, that manufacturer. And I-305 was no different, being so powerful and so intense that they had to add brakes to the first drop several weeks after it opened to slow it down until they could completely rip out and widen the first turn during the off season. Yes, it was that intense. If I rode I-305 today for the first time, it would be much lower on this list. However, this list is the 10 times I held on the hardest. And that amazing ride in 2016 has to come in at number 1. You climb the amazing 305-foot tall hill by a cable before dropping for what seems forever and hitting 92 miles an hour, and into that first turn you go, nearly graying out. From here you hit a solid airtime hill, but what really makes this ride intense is how fast it whips you in and out of turns. It feels like Maverick only with a supercharger, just so fast. Airtime is really lacking on this ride, but the intensity is incredible. It ain't as smooth as it once was, and after that great view from the top of the lift hill, there's not much to look at. Not that you would really be able to see anything if there was. So not only did you happen to find my video, but you also made it all the way to the end, and for that I could not thank you more. Instead of trying to rush a quick video every few days, I've always wanted to bring the coaster community more polished videos that tell a story. So what better time than now to show you a quick preview of what's coming next. In 1972, Kings Island would change the roller coaster community forever. They were about to open a racing wooden coaster that was designed to pump fresh air back into a dying obsession people had with roller coasters. It was called the Racer, and the mission was a success, making people fall in love with coasters all over again while also reigniting the nearly extinct coaster wars. But they wouldn't stop there, because this was just the foundation for what was to come. Fast forward just 7 years later, and Kings Island would give the world the Beast. And it's Kings Island making headlines today. The long-awaited Beast Coaster is finally ready to give its first rides. Nothing has ever been built like this before. The Racer may have reignited the coaster war, but it was that monster, the Beast, that delivered the dagger. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, if you click that subscribe button down below, I'll get a little notification on my phone and it'll get me super excited. I can't wait for you to see my next video, and as always, thanks for watching.